It's time to cut plywood. We are building our dream screen printing and art studio in our basement. And for the last 13 weeks, we've been preparing our basement for this moment. And that is to cut our plywood and assemble it. So we've got about, I can't remember, like 12 sheets of plywood, and it's time to start cutting it. I bought this, it's like a Craig panel lifter. It should let me move this plywood around by myself. That's the goal. But we're gonna try it out. How does this work here? Oh, that's still heavy, but we should be able to move it. Okay, we're moving it. The real key is, can we get it set up on our sawhorses? But I believe we can. Maybe. Nope. Nope. Once it's set up here, it won't be an issue. Okay, see, there we go. So now, nope. How should we do this? I thought we'd be able to get this. I know we can do this. I know we can. Okay, so that's kind of set there. I think if we lift this out, that is not sliding how I wanted it to. Okay. Okay, move these boards, even those out, and that's gonna be good enough, I think. You know what, I feel like that could have gone worse. Not too much worse, but a little bit. So our first cut is going to be 88 inches, and we're gonna cut it off the bottom side that was dragging against the floor of the garage. We're gonna cut the backing to the walls first. So this is gonna go on top of our studs. Be kind of like a drywall paneling kind of thing. I'm gonna mark both sides too, just so I can, you know, make sure I'm getting a straight line. We did buy this straight edge cutting guide because I don't feel like trying to DIY a solution. This is gonna work, hopefully. I just wanted to spend a little bit of money to know that I'm gonna have something that works and gets, you know, perfectly straight lines. So I want this to be a bit more exact. So it was worth, I mean, this is only like 40 bucks. So that was worth it to me. So let's get this lined up with our saw. Lock that in place. Is that moving around? That is moving around still. Either way, I should check if this is 90 degrees. Yeah, that looks 90 on this side. 90 on this side. Okay. We're just gonna run with that. Do need to swap out the blade for the circular saw. This is a 60-tooth saw inch blade. Should be better so it doesn't tear out, and it just should be better suited to cut OSB. So, all right, should be good to go for first plywood cut. What the junk? Oh, I probably needed the thing on the other side. Well, we went a little crooked, but it's lined up again. Now it's not moving. Hopefully this goes a smidgen better. Somehow it got bumped off of 0. Whew, I knew we'd screw this up, but I didn't think it'd be this bad. Okay, let's see how bad we boxed this up. There's a little cut mark right here. I don't think it's gonna be overly noticeable. Okay, this side looks 90 degrees. That side is not. This side's barely not 90 degrees, but it might not matter too much. While we have our boards set up here, we're gonna sand them down and get them ready for polyurethane. I'm wearing a hoodie, which means it's freezing out, so we can't coat them with polyurethane quite yet, which is annoying, but hopefully the goal of today is to get everything cut and ready for polyurethane. So as soon as it is the right temperature, we can polyurethane and cure them properly. Until then, I'm gonna spend the next 20 minutes sanding this dumb board. Okay, my arm hurts, but this side, I'm not gonna say it's done. I think we're gonna do one more pass on it because I was really hoping the green markings would sand completely off, and they haven't quite. So I think one more run through, make sure it's really even, but I need to rest my arm because it hurts. This board is finished for now, obviously until we coat it with poly. So my research lied to me a little bit, and we were sanding the wrong side. So I flipped it over and this side turned out better for sure. It just had kind of like the stamped writing on it. We were able to get that out for the most part. We did really have to take a lot of extra layers off. So I can kind of tell already that the surface is a little uneven. So we'll see what happens when you throw polyurethane on it, if it's gonna, you know, accentuate the unevenness. We tried to even that out as much as possible, but it's hard on this big and this flat. So I'm gonna label these boards so I don't have to worry about them in the future and figure out what is where. So we'll label this and send it on its way. Logan, unloading seems to be better if we do it like that. Just kind of glide it down. That was actually really smooth. This little like panel grabber though, it works really well for just like this kind of stuff. I mean, that's pretty good. You can even twist it and set it down. Yeah, that thing's not bad. It's loading them on here, that's the issue. We're figuring it out, all right? Okay, that's the system. Not great, but it's set. Can kind of shimmy it in place. See? Not too bad. Is it perfect? No, but it's working. So first board somehow measured out to be 87.5. Somehow it got bumped off of 0. Whew, I knew we'd screw this up, but I didn't think it'd be this bad. But that'll be all right. We should be in a good, decent realm. There was a little bit of extra gap, and it didn't need to be exact that. But we are gonna make sure that everything is consistent. All right, let's see how this cut goes. That felt like it went really well. Cool. We'll just sand this one, and this one will be done. Well, not perfect, but I think it's our best one yet. And then this one is going to go on our side of the window, so we're actually going to need to trim this off a little bit. I need to think this through a little bit. We might freehand this one slightly. I will use this straight edge, you know, as a little bit of a guide. All right, we'll do this cut and then rotate. I know this would have been the alternative to buying that thing, but it's too late. We already bought it. I don't know how straight that is, but well, that doesn't help. So you can see there's a little bit here still, but you can see how this is going to be that is not straight. Anyways, you can see a little cutout that's going to be for our window. Our last board for our walls is going to be about roughly 1.5 feet, just a little strip We're gonna need to rip cut this sheet of plywood instead of cross cutting. We're actually gonna rip cut it, get the width we need, and then cut it down to length. That looks pretty good to me. Then we can do one more little trim cut, and then this side will be ready to go for our workbench. So it's kind of a win-win. Despite measuring, everything's at a right angle. This board got cut uneven. I really don't know what happened. So I think this board's kind of be a scrap board, but that's all right. That's why you always buy extra. I'm really confused how that happened. All my corners looked 90 degrees. Everything looked right to me. But nonetheless, we need to cut our last wallboard down to our 87.5-inch mark. Just gonna use the straight end of this board so I don't have to deal with the clamp again. So, yeah. Our walls are all done, so we can get started on our workbenches. Our workbenches are going to be pretty standard. They're just all going to be 4 by 8 foot plywood sheets cut in half. Should go, relatively easy, just one cut and we're done. So that should be efficient, hopefully. Paid a little bit more attention to make sure the width on this side was the same as this side. So hopefully this board ends up more straight than the other one. I don't know what happened on that board. We had a crazy amount of kickback. It would just I'd get resistance and kick back. I have no idea what happened. I'm a little annoyed. I don't know if we can salvage this. It's it's terrible. It's terrible. I might be able to salvage this other side, but man, that was terrible. I got the other side of this board edge cleaned up, so it's straight now. I did lose about 1/4 inch, so it's not exactly 2 feet. So we're gonna throw these on our lower levels of the workspace, so not the main top spot. That way you don't notice it as much. I was actually toying a bit with insetting the lower shelves anyways, so we're gonna just say it was intentional. I am still, however, having issues, and I'm going to blame it on my cutting guide and not this. There's about 1/4 inch difference on this end to this end when I measure the final board length. I've measured the distance of the cutting guide when it's applied. It matches, everything looks great, and it seems consistently 1/4 inch difference. So hopefully that's not too noticeable, because we're going to run out of boards we can screw up. But I do think we managed to salvage this board. We'll sand this down and it'll be ready to go. Then we'll try and clean up this board. Okay, we got our Jinx side board cut. Funnily enough, you can see how uneven that was. Funnily enough, end to end, same size. So that gives me hope for future boards going forward. So I realized on the other side, they put these nice little grid lines to make sure everything can be lined up nicely. So hopefully that solves our problem. They don't teach you that in high school. Since we're cutting these in half, they're a little bit easier to flip around and move around so that we can sand the other side. It would have been hard to do this with the wall panels because they're just a nightmare to move. Our bench tops should be nice and even and straight now. Starting to wonder if our guide is perfectly straight or not. I don't think it is. So that could be some of the issue here. I think we're good. Let's send it. Going off the lines off the board, that's not perfectly straight, but straight enough. I think it'll be okay. All of the flat panels for our workbenches are finished. We're gonna cut the sides, the cubby space panels at a different date, I think. Okay, now we're gonna start on our island. That is going to require 3 2-foot by 4-foot boards. So we're gonna rip this into 2 by 8-foot boards and then cut those down into 2 by 4-foot boards. So should be relatively straightforward. Well, that had a little bit of kickback to it, but should be salvageable. We can just cut this panel right down the middle, and then that side and that side will be the bottom and the middle. Boom, easy. And then we'll sand these, but we've done so much of that, you don't need to see that. I'm just gonna eyeball these cuts because I feel like the guide has been not great, and there's lines on here. Cool, this is our last piece for the island. And then our last rip cut is going to be for our partition wall, and we really just need 6 2 by 2 foot square boards, and we'll show you why when we build it. So I don't know what happened there. This board is going to be the top of our island, and then we're going to cut this board another 1/2 inch down, and it's going to be the front of our house. And then we just got to finish off our partition wall. We just need, I think, 2 more of these square cuts, so let's end it. We are done cutting our wood, for now, at least. We'll probably have a couple more to cut as we start assembling. We're gonna clean up, because this looks like a scene out of Interstellar. And just like that, we have our plywood. We'll start assembling it next week. We'll see how well it all fits together. Definitely some issues with some straight edges. So we'll see how everything goes. But yeah, see you next week.